What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we are back with round 3 from the Italian Vault Tour from Bologna, Italy. Now you'll notice MrMuffin is back with Igaran's Guo di Coyotalento. Yeah. A Dis Untamed Shadows deck, and turns out round 1 was a real round 1. We weren't silly, yay! On the left here, we have got David with Zeb Rivero, Spadacino di Pugnalanudo, a Brobnar Dis Sanctum deck. Looking at the decks here, there are 3 terms of redress in David's deck. Choose a friendly creature to capture 2 amber, that's quite good. Looking at MrMuffin's deck, we saw that before. We got a couple of Charette, Relentless Whispers. He does have both Key Charge and Chota Hazri, so there's some really good key cheating going on in his deck. That's something that he can be taken advantage of as he goes through. So we have made it to round 3. Links to rounds 1 and 2 if you haven't watched them yet are in the description. I'm going to try and get 1 game a day going for the next week or 2, however long it takes to get through them all. So MrMuffin does chuck down a Succubus so that David draws 1 fewer card at the end of every turn. He goes Brobnar in response. He gets down a Mighty Javelin. He gets a Phoenix Heart down, and he's got it down on a creature there, which, if I'm not mistaken, is a Crump. After an enemy creature is destroyed fighting Crump, its controller loses an amber. And then Phoenix Heart, basically when it's destroyed, he goes back to your hand and you deal 3 damage to each creature in play. That's kind of cool. Now we do see an Urchin coming down to steal an amber. Although, yes, there was an amber for David because he had the Mighty Javelin, which does have an amber on it. He then gets himself a Dusk Runner down onto his Urchin. And actually manages to chuck himself down a Bullet Eye, creature we don't see all that often. When you reap, you destroy a flank creature. 2 power with elusive, it's all right. So slow starts here, but we often see this. It's rare that you see really explosive starts turn 1 or turn 2. Often for the first 2 turns, you just see bit of amber, a couple of creatures. Generally, when you see one player having a really explosive turn, kind of turn 1 or turn 2, that person usually ends up actually winning the game quite quickly. So yeah. Alrighty then, so where are we looking here? Looks like we're over to David's side of the board now. And he's having a think. He went Brobnar last time, got the Crump with the Phoenix Heart, got the Mighty Javelin down. Now, weirdly enough, we are still only going Call of the Archons here. And now we do see what looks to be a fight taking out the Succubus, and it has to do. You're essentially losing a card every turn. It's got to be done. Oh, that's kind of nice, ladies and gentlemen. So Coward's End comes down and destroys each undamaged creature, though he does gain 3 chains. So he finally gets rid of the Succubus so that he's drawing back the right number of cards. And then he chains himself with Coward's End. Oh, which is a little bit sad. One day he'll have a hand of 6. But he was able to take down all of McMuffin's creatures here. So Chota Hazri comes down. Dew Fairy comes down. Regrowth comes down with an amber to get an Urchin. That's really cool. That's going to steal 1 next turn. Annoyingly, with the creatures here, there's no Full Moon. There's no Hunting Witch. So MrMuffin isn't unfortunately able to take advantage and get extra amber for playing those creatures down. It's just not on the cards. Yeah, cards. So he's sitting there. MrMuffin's still not got much. In fact, no one's got much amber. Looks like MrMuffin's got 1 amber and David has none. So Charette does come in and capture the only amber that MrMuffin's got. Charette will capture up to 3 if there are 3 there, but there aren't 3 there. Sad face. He is on a Dis turn here. Now, looks like Hand of Dis hits the discard pile. Now, Hand of Dis here actually will destroy a creature that is not on a flank, but there aren't any. Every creature on the board is on a flank. So it will do absolutely nothing. Although I've got to point out, David, here, right? There are literally spaces on the mat for your keys and your discard pile. And as someone commentating this, I don't like things not being in the right place. To be clear, being on stream is quite stressful. You want to be as, you want to make sure you're as comfortable as possible. So I don't actually mind. So Chota Hazri and Dew Fairy just go reaping there, which is fine. Or is that just Dew Fairy that was reaping, actually? Because Dew Fairy gets a double reap going on. And then MrMuffin is just ending. Yeah, just ending his turn. So we do go Sanctum here for David. And he gets himself down a creature. He gets himself down a take hostages. Every time a friendly creature fights, it captures an amber for the rest of the turn. Now, you'll notice there, the reason he was able to do that, that's actually terms of redress capturing the amber. He wasn't able to fight because he's got no one active. Take hostages was just played for the amber. But he's able to capture because of that terms of redress. Having 3 terms of redress is really good. Oh, and he finally sacrifices the mighty javelin there to take out the Dew Fairy. Doesn't want his opponent doing double reaping. That would be inconvenient, ladies and gentlemen. That would not be ideal by any stretch. So he's got a bunch of captured amber there, which is nice. Now Urchin does come back down to steal. But MrMuffin is not able to keep any amber on the board here. David's not done a huge amount to advance his own victory conditions, but he's done a really good job of slowing down MrMuffin. He's been taking out all of his creatures. He's been doing board wiping. He's been getting rid of MrMuffin's amber, capturing a bunch, etc. So although he's not really done a great job of getting closer to forging himself, I mean, it looks like he's sitting there on a single amber several turns in. MrMuffin is also not forging at this stage. MrMuffin isn't getting a key, so you can afford to do that. That looks like a relentless whispers that he's actually using to sacrifice or destroy his own creature, because when you destroy a creature with it, you steal an amber. So you might as well use it to get your own. Now it looks like he's also playing a pawn sacrifice there, sacrificing Chota Hazri, dealing 3 damage to 2 creatures. And he's just, I think, trying to work out. Now, it looks like... Will he be able to get Crump here? I just need to double check on the Crump there. Yeah, so Crump already got 3 damage on from earlier. So Crump will get taken down. And here's the thing. Phoenix Heart then does 3 damage to Charette and 3 damage to the Bulwark. Although reduced for the armor there. Yes, he's just saying, look, I had this, in the Phoenix Heart and all of that. So the Phoenix Heart will do some damage, though reduced because of the armor. We see another pawn sacrifice coming down here, although there is nothing to sacrifice. There is no pawn to sacrifice here. So he just gets the amber and nothing else, unfortunately. It's not the end of the world. He still gets something for it. And now that was a good turn. Gets a bunch of his captured amber back, plays a few cards, and that's what both players have been waiting for in this game. We've had a nice slow start, and both players have been waiting for that turn where they can go bleh, for want of a better phrase. And MrMuffin's just done it. MrMuffin has just gone, right, here I go. And now he's got his 7 amber out, and he is doing rather nicely indeed. He's on check, so what can David do? There's nothing really on the board he can use here. He's got to have something in his hand that he can use. So down comes Shula if your opponent's... Oh, so actually capturing an amber there, which is really, really nice. And there are multiple Shula in his deck, incidentally. What Shula does is when it comes down, if your opponent has 4 amber or more, you steal 1. So he did steal 1, but he didn't stop MrMuffin forging a key. Whoopsie doodle. Whoopsie doodle. Oh my goodness. Now it's just, there's nothing on the board anymore, ladies and gentlemen. Both players, but okay, there comes Witch of the Eye. Now there's something on the board. For a moment there was literally nothing on either side of the board for either player. This has been a very strange game, and this is what we see more from Call of the Archons. In Age of Ascension, the new set, and we've not seen, of the 5 decks so far, they've all been Call of the Archons. Oh, there we go. There's a board wipe. There we go. I was going to say, for a minute I thought we might have a creature actually left out. Now, Crump, remember, was in his hand from before. War Drummer comes down, puts Crump back in his hand, but he wants it on the board, so he just pops it back down, and he's golden. Incidentally, was a punch that came down a moment ago to take out the Witch of the Eye. But David really needs some amber here. He really needs to get some amber going on. Now that is Sound the Horns. Discard cards on the top of your deck until you discard a Brobnar creature or run out of cards. If you discard a Brobnar creature this way, put it into your hand. So does he have... Was he just trying to run through his whole deck there? I mean, one of the things you can do with Sound the Horns is if you're out of Brobnar creatures, you can basically play Sound the Horn to just reset your deck. And just do it. Now, incidentally, there are only 2 creatures of Brobnar in his deck. There are only Crump and War Drummer. They're the only Brobnar creatures in his deck, and they're both on the field. So he knew that there were none left in the deck. So he's basically just doing that to reset his deck to put everything back into it. There were some cards in his discard he wanted back sooner rather than later. Of course, your opponent is not allowed to look at your deck. They are allowed to look at your discard pile. So when you do that, your opponent is entitled, as MrMuffin just did, to have a look through your entire discard pile and see everything. So there we go. Okay. But what's he got? I mean, he did that. That was lovely. Sound the Horns was great. But what's he actually got here? What's the goal? Oh, Hysteria comes down. Both creatures go back. We've got a completely spare board again. But now MrMuffin's got his own charrette that just steals free amber right from under David's nose. Cool. I don't know if you can hear, but I've got a frog. Is that coming across? Did you hear the frog then? Usually, if I'm recording a video, I would stop and you wouldn't hear the frog, but I can't really stop halfway through this. Now, what you did see there, what you missed, was David playing a free Fates to get the amber back from MrMuffin's charrette, and then play his own charrette to capture free amber. I think MrMuffin is sitting there on 5 amber here. But yeah, the frog's pretty loud, but he's behind the mic, so the mic might not have caught it. If you didn't hear the frog, I sound weird and I'm sorry. If you did, nice little bonus for people watching Speaking of watching, did anyone see the pigeon on the Birmingham stream? Just leave it there. So we saw a safe place coming out for MrMuffin. We did see that used really, really nicely in his previous game. And we see Ghostly Hand coming down, gets him 2 amber. Had David only had 1 amber, he would have stolen it, but he doesn't. He's got 5, so no stealing going on there. We do see a Champion and Nafiel coming down, which is rather nice. Okay, so now we see another one of those free copies of Terms of Redress, capturing a couple of amber. I think he captured a couple amber there, while also getting himself an amber. So... good work, frankly, ladies and gentlemen. No, I don't think that was a Terms of Redress, if I'm honest with you. Just double check what that was. Was that an honourable claim? I think that was an honourable claim. Each friendly night creature captures 1. I think that was an honourable claim. Yeah. Can be quite hard to see sometimes on the stream, but I think that was honourable claim. It's a rare card, so it's not one we see coming around all that often. And Sanctum has not been the most played house from Call of the Archons, so we see even less of it. Okay. So, okay, we're getting all of that back now. So we're finally getting his amber back. And MrMuffin here really is on the verge of being able to actually get rolling here and forge his second key. So that's really cool. He's up to, what's that, 7 amber? That was nice. That was really nice. Oh, and he's got his board wiping going. I can't see exactly which cards are going here. Now, I believe he had a World of Returning a moment ago. Gives him an amber bonus. It's another rare, so we don't see it too often. Deal 1 damage to each enemy creature. For each amber on it, return all amber from those creatures to your pool. So that's how he got all of his captured amber back. And now, although David has just forged his first key, and then played a double Terms of Redress. That's wonderful. So I was just about to say, oh, Mr. Muffin's going to forge his second key. David's going to end up quite far behind. And then as soon as I've said that, David's like, I'm capturing 4 amber. That's a lot of amber. Incidentally, if you're playing against one of these Sanctum capturing decks, World of Returning is a wonderful card. Like I say, deal 1 damage to each creature for each amber on it, and return all that amber to your pool. That's pretty cool. It's only enemy creatures you deal the damage to, incidentally. Otherwise, you'd be able to use it to get the amber back that your creatures have captured, and that's just wrong. Captured amber goes to the other player. That's fairly important. So, Mr. Muffin, he was up by a key with a very clear... He had 9 amber, and David's turned it around. He's got his first key. He's captured 4 of it. He's taken Mr. Muffin off of check. We still, and this has been a game where nobody can keep a board out. We've got quite a lot of board wiping cards being played by both players here. And essentially, any time anybody plays down anything, their opponent's waiting there to go, actually, no. Oh, this is good. It's a key hammer. Now, we did actually see that discarded in his previous game by his opponent's subtle maul. So David gets his 6 amber back. But Key Hammer gets rid of the key. It just puts David back a turn. But it also means that amber is now sitting there for potentially Mr. Muffin to capture it or steal it next turn. That is a good card. And that's something that's worth pointing out about Key Hammer. Yes, you slow your opponent down by a turn. And yes, that's probably the best thing about it. As Hysteria comes down, creatures go back and Mr. Muffin gets his amber back again. But you also potentially can capture that amber or steal that amber. So it goes from having been spent on a key. I mean, if you can play Key Hammer on the same turn as capturing or stealing a bunch of amber, maybe you play a couple of charrette or something, you can actually put your opponent back multiple turns, and that can really, really help you. Now, we do see David forge his first key there, as I apologise for the very slight blip in the video then. We had very brief technical issues. I believe they're fixed now. To be honest, other than the very slight jump in the video, I don't think anyone would have even noticed. Hey-ho. So David is now up to a key, but Mr. Muffin's sitting there with 10 amber? Now, admittedly, he had 9 amber last time and David stopped him forging. So I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but I am saying he used 2 of his free Terms of Redress in 1 turn to stop it happening. It looks like Mr. Muffin is going to go up by a key here. It looks like he's going to go up 2 keys to 1. But then again, I said in the previous round that one of the players was definitely going to win, and that turned out to not be true. So these games can be hard to predict. So we do see Crump and War Drummer coming back down again. Phoenix Heart actually gets discarded there. We saw David attach it previously in the round, but David now taking a tact of, you know what, it didn't help me enough last time. Mr. Muffin actually really took advantage of it and used it to wipe David's board. So David's going, no, this time round there's no amber bonus, I'm just not doing it. So Mr. Muffin does now forge his second key, which is wonderful. And he's actually already got 4 amber ready towards his third key here. Because remember, he had 10. So it depends what's in his hand. But there is a decent chance he just rushes for amber here. Now, to be fair, it's not like he can just reap with 3 or 4 creatures on the board. He has no creatures on the board. But maybe there's something he can get going here. If he can go and get himself 4 or 5 amber, that could be enough to just, well, win the game right there and then. Or maybe his opponent's got something better. There's a lot of thought going on here. Lot of thought going on. So he is going shadows. He goes bullet eye. He goes relentless whispers. So capturing amber all over the show, which is lovely. Now he is on a shadows turn, so he should use safe space in a minute to stash one of his amber. Was that another? No. And that relentless whispers worked beautifully. Got him an amber and then stole him an amber. He didn't need to steal. David's not about to forge his second key. Now, Mr. Muffin has put himself on check. He is at 6 amber. It's not usually that difficult to get somebody off of check in this situation. But having said that, David isn't playing shadows. He has got a lot of capturing cards in Sanctum. The 3 terms of redress come to mind. There was that rare card that we don't see very often. What was it called? Honourable Claim comes to mind. He does have Charette in his deck. But does he have anything? If he's not able to get rid of any amber, Mr. Muffin's going to win the game. I don't believe he's got any cards that increase the cost of forging. So he's gone Brobnar here. And there's nothing he can do. So after all of that, Mr. Muffin actually manages to forge with just 6 amber. The whole game, it was a cagey, I'm going to stop you forging, I'm going to get rid of your creatures. And then it ends with Mr. Muffin going, I've got 6 amber, can you get rid of 1? And David goes, no, I literally cannot get rid of a single amber. So a very cagey game, a very back and forth game, lots of board wiping. But in the end, Mr. Muffin's deck just generated more amber. And that, as they say, was all she wrote. So thank you to lovely Vizzo for letting us use the footage. Links in the description for both the Twitch and the YouTube. Hugely, what's the word I'm looking for? Grateful to be allowed to use the footage and add the commentary. Congratulations to Mr. Muffin. Commiserations to David, though. Thank you both for being on the stream. And thank you, lovely ladies and gentlemen, for watching it. I think you should all now go and tell me what you thought about the game. Go and get the discussion going in the comment section. Go nuts. Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we talk about games like Keyforge and a bunch of others. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTC. No, did it again. Wossy Plays.